Hello, everyone. I am Pretty B, and this is Organic as Fuck Talk. And today's topic is going to be compromise. When most people think of compromise, they think of sacrifice, and that's not what compromise is. And so we're going to go into that. We're going to dive a little deep today, and we have a love bug with us.
Yes, I'm the love bug. Hi, you guys. Hi, organitics, right? Hi, I'm excited about this topic. I think we need to discuss this and really get into just like you said, defining and breaking down compromise, right?
Right.
So, uh, before we even get started, right, let's get into our vibe of the day.
Vibe of the day.
Yeah, and I have two things. The first thing being this rose quartz right here, the rose quartz stone. Since we often talk about frequency and vibration, it's multiple things that we can bring in to keep us at an elevated vibration and also to work through that area. And so for me today, that is rose quartz because it exudes self love practices. It's just a self-love vibration and the love of others. And I think that's important when you're getting into compromise. And my other thing is my sea moss shake. You know that my Tootie made me this morning. Sea moss is coming from Vital Vegan, some of the best sea moss that is out there. We got strawberries and other things in here infused to help support my heart chakra while I'm dealing with all this love. What you got?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I'm loving. I seen you in your rose quartz colors today, baby. Just with the vibration of love going on. I have a little reddish pink, that root, that love chakra vibration going on.
You
then
do.
good
You
vibes.
Do. Lipstick is popping too.
Yeah. Let me glam up a little bit for him today. But yeah, Vital Vegan is amazing. The love bugs talk about Vital Vegan constantly, and so I ordered mine and just got mine, and so we'll have it below. It is Vital Vegan Cafe NJ on Instagram, and it's bomb. I just made mine. I'm waiting for mine to gel up. So
right,
amazing. Oh, so
what else you got? What you got over there?
I got my vibe of today. I have two vibes, and my vibe of today is going to be Apple of Eve by Yada off of Instagram. Him and his wife are so amazing. I follow them both. And actually, the love bug, was talking about this and wanting to try this, and I was like, let me get it when it came available, because I have the book as well. And so it just sent like amplify my energy like right after taking it, and I was just like, yeah, it was an amplify. I'm excited for this, and I'm actually fasting this morning. So I just got some alkaline water over here, but that's one of my vibes today. So I'm excited for that. My other vibe is I have a song. And when we think of compromise, we think of sacrifice, but instead we need to think of love. So love. And I got a song that just amplified all of that. So with my Apple of Eve and then just the vibe already, I have a song that I'm gonna play you guys.
Show me love, treat it like we freaking on a weekend. Show me love. I eat up the seconds, times, and reasons for your love. This is not the season for nobody else but us.
Beautiful.
Show me love. Show me love. That amplified me. That amplified me much.
You know what? That's a good song. Alicia Keys sung me through many of the times with that lovely voice of hers. And that's a beautiful song. I'm gonna have to check that out. I don't think I've heard it.
It's with Miguel. Miguel and the vibration.
Okay.
So if you feel her frequency, you know, you feel the energy,
You
the
feel
vibration
it.
of that song. So that was, those are my vibes. I feel
That's
like
what's
that
up.
was perfect for today.
What is the definition of compromise? An agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions. Okay. Settle a dispute by mutual concession, accept standards that are lower than desirable. You want to get into it?
Yeah, I want to kind of jump into it, and you know, our conversations flow all day. So jump in wherever you know you feel need to be. But you know, compromise, especially in a relationship, most and especially very young, I can say for me, I feel like it was sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a big you have to very much discern between that, because we you know, we think I'm giving up something I really want just to make this person happy, or why do I compromise all the time, or why do I, if you got to feel like that, what I've learned is it's not compromising.
Mm-mm.
Because you have a sacrificial, am I saying that right? Sacrificial mentality, and you when compromise, we associate that so closely to sacrificing, and you're not, because you are go ahead.
No, right. Because then it makes you feel like it has a negative connotation, like settle. Like, what the fuck I'm a settle for? What do you mean settle? Right? Or you know, accept something less than what you should. And that's really not the mechanism of it. That's not really how you, and like you said, you've learned. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off or anything, but no. Yeah,
No,
it
you're
does
good.
have
You're
a
good.
negative connotation to it.
It has
Like,
associated with that, and that's part of what the culture have created and just society have created for compromising, especially in a relationship. And compromising is not that. It's simply like if you're with someone and you compromise it's a love thing. It's a love thing. You more than likely what you're willing to give up is something either temptation wise or something momentarily, a lot of the time to me. And so when you realize it, the bliss of being in that happiness, because you both have compromised. So come to an agreement. You don't have to fully like it, but you come to agree to make each other happy. It that should outweigh what you have given up.
right.
Just that feeling, that vibration of love.
Right. I think you come to a compromise in ego so that you can get to understanding.
Yes.
Like,
you hear me over here clapping. Yes.
It's like you got to come to because most of the time, if you feeling kind of stubborn or like I got to give them something or I got to settle, you want to check and see what type of ego is. Sorry, I got a little stray on my patio, almost scared the crap out of me. So, if you look into what you're feeling as to why you may not want to compromise, and there's ego there, that ego is what you're compromising, because you got to get into a position of understanding. You want to understand, you know, those that you love and you have this relationship with, you know, to get to another level of love. Right.
Right.
And that's with friendships, relationships, you know, parents with their children. I think we have to go and I think compromise can also mean negotiation. Understanding, you know, validation. Let me hear you. Sometimes compromise is just listening. Let them.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna cut you off. You going deep, and I love it. And I was just gonna say that compromise is understanding someone else. getting to the root of why you even need to come there to compromise. You know, it's the understanding. Go ahead, honey.
Yeah, no, that understanding right there, and validation of each other. So sometimes the compromise, you just compromising your attitude in the moment. It's just be quiet and listen in this moment. And you're not trying to make your point the point. You know what I mean? Because I think when you get into like a culture of people who for the most part lack validation and being feeling like they've been heard and that their feelings matter. You know, we come from a culture of people like that. Like you didn't really get listened to. Your feelings might have got brushed off all the time. So then you get in these positions where you feel like you got to boldly prove a point and you want to be heard. And it can take a situation to a whole nother level just because you're trying to be heard. You know, so again, that's kind of along my lines where I said sometimes compromise is just listening. It's just being still. It's just let me hear everything out. And then there's other forms of compromise, right? Like where, like you said, if you love someone and this person, you know, maybe they really enjoy morning hikes and they want you to come to see what they enjoy about it, but you're not a morning person. You like a hike? Why would I go hike in the morning? No, you know what I mean? And this is something that they really enjoy. And it's like you kind of compromise yourself into a situation that you wouldn't know. I'm not a morning person, and you want me to go exert energy, like, but you do it. Were you about to say something?
I was gonna say, I just coming in, but you do, and you just said it, but you do it, and guess what? You might not have got to go every morning, but try to go once or twice a month.
Exactly.
You might fuck around and like some shit.
You might fuck around and like some shit.
You might fuck around and catch a vibe and a lifestyle, because that's what a vibe is, a lifestyle.
And a closer, intimate relationship with whoever is asking you that. It also welcomes you into their environment to help you further understand them. You know, so you know that is another form of compromise. You know,
that's an excellent
that you wouldn't normally do or you don't particularly enjoy. You know, for with someone who wants to invite you into their space or into their thing and, you know, come be a part of this with me.
That's excellent. That was an excellent example, because that's exactly what it is opening yourself, opening your mind, opening to, but still in a healthy way. Now, don't compromise if it's something that you feel is unhealthy or belittling or things like that. That's not a compromise. That is a sacrifice.
That's a sacrifice.
That's what a sacrifice looks like.
Know the difference.
Know the difference. Because when you compromise, because all those things you just named, and we're using something, you know, just using an example. Guess what? If you took the sacrificial mentality out of that and you went hiking and you fucked around and liked it, you know what I'm saying? And you might not like it for the exertion or anything. You might like it because guess what? You've been wanting a little bit more quality time, and now you able to get that quality time in nature. How amazing. You know, that's a whole energy amplifier in itself. And then combined with someone else, with your loved one. And there's nothing non-beneficial about compromising. When you look at that, you got your health on, you got your love on, you probably messed around and found something you like, and you might not like to do it as often, but I like this. You know, it's always something that's going to be beneficial to you. That's what into your environment, your energy, and your relationship.
Yeah. You want to shift from let's get into some more of how people get to the negative connotation of compromise, maybe because it becomes a mentality. right?
Yeah.
I've heard like so much bad talk, and I'll stick with the same example. Like, somebody wants you to go on the morning hike, you don't normally do that, and then you probably have like people around you that should be a support system, but they're like, no, why would you want to go on that hike for? And you don't even like to do that. You shouldn't do anything that you don't like to do. And somebody shouldn't be asking you to do something that you don't like to do. There's many reasons
Factors.
and factors and ways that people kind of talk themselves out of getting into a more intimate relationship with people. Like, you know what I mean? They lack the give and take of it. So it's like, you kind of become a little bit hard and stern in an area where you shouldn't be hard and
Yeah,
stern.
and then I think also just piggybacking on that, because I know what you mean by give and take. We've discussed this a lot, and I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with what I'm about to say. Is we think I gave some, I take some, I give. No, you give and receive, give and receive,
Yeah.
give and receive, and that's what the whole take is to receive, to be able to receive, to welcome that energy, and then yeah, you may have someone around you. Well, why are you giving up this? And why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? Well, I'm in a relationship and I'm growing and I'm going to try new things and do new things. And better yet, this is the intimacy over here. Me and you don't have that intimacy.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with your intimacy over there, because everything looks different to everyone. And so you really have to know that's why we always going to come back into every episode saying you have to go within.
Mm-hmm.
You always it don't matter who it is. You have to go within, because if you live your life based off what other people are saying you should and should not do, and you don't fall yourself or pick up yourself, then guess what, baby? That's a sacrifice. That's no type of, you're at that point, you're sacrificing, and really in an unhealthy way. That ain't even a compromise, but you have now, if we want to use it in that way, compromise your potential.
Right.
Your potential of what something could be, and not even listening to yourself.
Yeah.
That becomes a sacrifice. Just doing that alone.
Right. That is going to be a problem, right? So you definitely always want to check, go within with it. Go within. And so you fully are operating from that place. You got to keep constantly checking in and seeing what's going on. Why do I feel like this? Why am I saying this? What's causing me to have this reaction? And continue to dig deeper. I think we started to talk about compromise in regards to apologies.
We did, we did, we did, and it very ties much into that.
Yes.
It very much ties into that, and you touched on that, and it ties into it.
But so basically, your unwillingness to be able to listen and to be able to compromise within a relationship can cause rifts and hard feelings and just unnecessary emotions. Whereas sometimes if you kind of dig in deep with self and you kind of looking at, well, why am I getting upset in this conversation, or why am I getting upset about this, and things like that, and when you realize it, and you know that you probably yelled and or said some things that you really don't mean, now that you've processed this, or maybe you meant it at the time, but now that you understand, you need to have a follow-up conversation. And a lot of people don't know how to apologize. I think apology is often looked at the same way as compromise, like it's a negative thing. Like I am belittling or taking away from myself, or I'm folding. You folded.
Right.
You
we talked about that in relationships in the last episode, about people feeling that way. And it might be a situation where you're not even the person that's wrong in the situation, but maybe your reaction. And that's when it all comes back to self, because it doesn't matter, it's always looking at self. And there might be times when you are not wrong and you don't need to apologize and you shouldn't have to, but if it's on your heart to do it, then spirit is telling you apologize. And it not only because you think about like, this is gonna benefit them, this gonna rock their ego, that I'm just no, it benefits you because it takes you to a higher space.
Yeah.
A higher energy, a higher aura, because it's like, okay, so
the negative kink out the line. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it really is about, your energy and your frequency and the vibe. What are you operating in? And sometimes you really do need to go back and be like, I just wasn't, you know what I mean? I wasn't right. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. And I'm thinking about how a lot of people be like, they don't like apologies because people say sorry and don't mean it and things like that. Know why you're apologizing and why you're compromising. Know why. You can't be fake about it and do shit just because. Because that's like, there's no internal work behind that. There's no growth in that. Like, it's not being fake, and it's not like, oh, I'm gonna be the big person, I'm gonna just say sorry. You might as well keep that shit to yourself, right? Or I'm gonna be the big or I'm just doing it just because. If you really not open in the moment of compromising and apologizing like it's necessary, you really not learning the lesson. And then let you be messing with somebody that's gonna hold you accountable. They gonna fuck around and ask you what you sorry for. And if you giving if you playing some bullshit talking about you just sorry, you're gonna be offended. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean what I'm sorry for? I just came and tried to apologize. We gotta do the net. Girl, I just came and tried to apologize. And you coming from the wrong place. So, if you are going to apologize to someone and you are going to compromise, I feel like you should know why, what frequency, that energy. And again, it takes us all the way back to what you just said, is dealing with yourself internally and know why you're coming from a specific place and not doing shit just because you think it's right, and not just, compromise and apologies are not sacrifices.
They're not. And I'm gonna hit y'all with something else too.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Yeah, sea moss smoothie on this one, because also, even in a relationship, or you might not be in a relationship, at any given time, you might need to compromise and apologize to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might want to do something and you're going, I know I ain't got no business doing that. Oh, but girl, it's gonna be so much fun. And you gotta compromise and say, well, how much goddamn fun is it gonna be? And what
right.
And then in a situation, you might gotta apologize to yourself. And that could be on so many different levels to, oh girl, I didn't even put you through that. Let me go ahead.
Yeah.
Or you know what? We got all out of character. What is we doing? Let me apologize to my energy. That is you mastering ego.
Mastering your ego.
It's always going to tie to
understanding
ego and mastering that. And it's just like sometimes the apology is to you, and sometimes the compromise is with you.
Yes, that's what I was just thinking about, that getting into compromising with self. And how could one possibly compromise with themselves? But as you build discipline and understanding with yourself, you start to get into compromises with self. Whereas you would normally do this shit right here, you're gonna try some of this shit. You're gonna be willing to give, like what's some other examples of compromising with self? I feel stubborn and I feel mad about it, but that compromise, before you compromise with somebody else, it actually does happen with self, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel mad about it, attitude, and I don't want to. I don't really want to have this conversation. But you know what? I'ma listen. I'm going to listen. I'm gonna listen for myself as well. It compromise. It is a dance with self and anyone that you have a relationship with. Apologizing and compromising with your kids. There's a level to that. A lot of people cannot apologize to their kids, and won't. You have parents who can overstep boundaries. That is very highly possible with this whole other spirit. That is not you. That's a whole nother spirit of existence. And sometimes parents can cross boundaries, or they could be upset and say something wrong, or they could act out in anger and take their frustration from work or whatever else it was out on the kid, and never hold themselves responsible for that behavior. It's not okay just because you're a parent. You know what I mean? It's not okay just because you have authority over a particular person. You need to be able to at least sometimes say to your child, like, and let's say your child is coming for something, you're like, no, I can't, blah, blah, blah. You need to at least be able to be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't have the time earlier to sit down. I was doing this, and that. I was in a place of chaos, and I brought home my attitude, or whatever the situation. I'm just trying to give some examples, because I've heard kids say, apologize? That's something my mama ain't gonna never do. She'll never apologize. You could be yelling at a kid, and you got the wrong information and you was wrong, and you walk away like, oh well, shit, like, and it just so you know, if it was, I meant what I said, you still don't have an apology.
And a lot of parents won't apologize, and a lot of parents have the mentality of, and I've seen it, and I haven't biologically had any children, but I've raised children. Yeah. And we've all been there as a parent. I've been a single parent. So a lot of parents have this mentality, I'm the adult, I know more, and you're the child. And of course, you're there for your child to guide them and guide their spirit. And, there got to be boundaries. But at any given time, just like you can learn from a crackhead on the street, or you can learn from a person that you think is not that intellectual, you can learn from anybody. So children, the most purest form of energy and manifestation, have much to teach you.
Right. And I said that to say this. We grow up into adults who have never received an apology.
Yeah.
That we may have needed. We grow up into adults that never received the level of compromising for our understanding and who we are. You know what I mean? And then we become those adults that are in situations that can't compromise and can't apologize simply because you never heard it. You don't know what it's like. It feels too foreign. It feels vulnerable. So that's how you get into, like, it makes it feel like a sacrifice. So it's like there's a cycle in some way with compromising and apologizing that you have to catch almost, because sometimes you don't understand what's making you so hard and stubborn in that situation. You don't get it. You just feel, you don't like, I'm not finna you feel that like that's right because you're trying to validate self.
Yeah, and talk about it with self, be like, you know what, you might not apologize in that moment, but you might need to really go back and apologize. Yeah. And really apologize, whether that be to self, especially speaking of when we're speaking about children. And then we get mad, and because parents do this a lot. Mm-hmm. We know it, it's all across the board, we all did it. Mm-hmm. You tell a lie and you tell your child not to lie and possibly whoop their ass for lying. Or you tell your child, don't tell nobody, and this is between us, and we'll stay here. You just taught them how to lie. So when you don't apologize or you don't have a compromise, healthy situation going on, what are you teaching them? And then you won't get mad when that child, oh, they spoiled, oh, they don't do this, oh, they fall out, because they don't know how to compromise. They don't know how to apologize. Ooh, I've seen parents tell kids to say sorry, and that kid will get their ass whooped before saying sorry. Will sit and get another ass whooping before saying sorry.
I think that we're taught that like if you're not a compromiser or if you're not an apologizer, you hold the power, you hold the authority. We're taught that. So you get these messages growing up like, you know, don't be sorry, hold the power, stay the one in control in that relationship, or stay you know what I mean, don't let your friends, from friends to relationship, in different ways, you're taught to exude the power, to be the one in control. And the one in control, as far as until you have real understanding, is not apologizing and compromising. That's why they're in control. And that's a fucking lie.
It's a lie. It's a lie, because that spills, how you act in one relationship eventually spills over into all of your relationships.
Yeah.
It spills into all of, because eventually there is no switch off and on, because that is starting to become a part of you. And so your relationships with your kids does make a difference, because it does show your relationship with a man, with a woman, with all of those things tie in to each other.
It does.
It's important.
It's important. Your relationships with other people becomes your relationship with your kids, in the cycle. It can create a cycle. And did I cut you off? Go ahead. You was about to say something.
No, I was just saying, and that's an example of compromising with self. Also, is like when you're not around your kids or when you're not around your significant other, you still should be constantly having a mentality of compromising, because that helps your decisions in those relationships too. And it brings an energy and an attraction and just a whole vibe. So even when someone is not around, I'm dropping phone, sorry. Even when someone is not around, how you act and the energy you give still amplifies and lives, because energy does not die.
Right. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I feel like we attacked those misconceptions, and you know, you're actually stronger when you can compromise and apologize. You become stronger within self, like you said. It's growth. That shows growth.
It shows growth, and it being open to compromise. So that's the flip side of it too, because you might not be the person wrong and you might not be the person that needs to apologize. But when that person eventually realizes, like, wait, I need to have a conversation of compromise, or I need to apologize, being open to that apology, and just depending on the relationship that you have, it you know, may go back exactly the same, or it may not. But you do have an understanding, and now you're welcoming good energy, you know, to that. So
yeah, because you want to stay in the flow of giving and receiving, right? That's what you want to stay in that flow of that. You want to keep that consistent love vibration going out and coming in, and going out and coming in, and that's just self-love. So your self-love reflects in your relationships, and you know, your ebb and flow. It definitely amplifies and can take away from, you know, it can give quality to your life if you kind of, you know, do that. And I think practicing compromising and apologizing is a huge factor of that, and removing the resistance.
Even in an argument, you might find in the middle of that argument or that problem that you have with your significant other, once again, you might not be the person that's wrong, but you need to be willing to compromise to understand why it even happened.
Yeah.
And what was
the energy of pushing a hard line is some harsh ass fucking energy. You know, when you get to yelling.
And I've been there. We don't push the lines, ladies. If we didn't, but it's an understanding thing. It's an understanding. And understanding where that root is, like what they did might not have been, completely right, but why did this even happen? What was the root of it? And then that's gonna let you know where the relationship can or cannot go anyway.
Yeah.
Compromising brings understanding and clarity.
Right. It does. It does. It does. And I feel like I'm learning new levels of this shit. I do, as I continue.
As we walking through it, I'm like, girl, you got the compromise mode.
It's that compromise vibe, huh?
like, oh, wait a minute. It elevates, it amplifies. And that's what this is, you guys. Like, we're not perfect either. As we talk about these things and walk through them, we might compromise sometimes, but don't compromise. But now it just amplifies that energy, and that's what we want to do, is amplify the energy and be able to point out when you didn't compromise and know, like, oh, next time I need to do that a little bit better. Oh, I need to go back and revisit that and have a conversation, or I need to go back and apology. And it might be an apology from 2-3 years before, but I might need to really apologize about this for myself.
Frequency here. Let me release this and put that out there.
You were in that sacrificial mentality and receiving love and receiving the understanding.
Yeah.
So you feeling it with something. You releasing it, but you also feeling it with, like, wait, okay. So,
yeah. Do you feel it with something organic?
Organic as fuck. And what's more organic as fuck than love and understanding?
Yeah, that's it. We exercise it towards ourselves, and I think this is beautiful. I think that's some good shit right there. And definitely getting into more practices of that.
I'm feeling the frequency over here. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm feeling the frequency.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, we're dealing with somebody that's like, where do I start? How can I start to welcome in this compromise vibration, so that I am not, my mind keeps going to different characters who had no compromise or like attitudes, but I just don't want to do that. But I think what a person who doesn't compromise sounds like, and they always have an argument. They always have a problem instead of a solution. That's that vibration and that energy. And then sometimes it's just a person who pushes people away and shuts down because they can't reach a higher understanding in life. What are the other side effects that it looks like? So if this is you,
being aggressive, approaching a situation even aggressive, really already going in. When you go in to talk to somebody, and you, first of all, and also a comparison. You don't compare that person to anyone. You don't compare that person to yourself. That is not motivating at all in a situation. And you don't go in with your expectation of that person, because now you just put them on a pedestal, and that's not fair to them or you. It's not fair to the situation. And so, if you have some of those traits, you need to understand that if you can't think outside of a box and you are thinking, I'm going to just say how society put things, or how you think, looks good. Everything is new every day. There's a new vibration every day, and there's a new height to the vibrations of love, or whatever that vibration is for you every day. So what worked yesterday may not work today. What worked for Kim and James may not work for Keisha and Tony. Like, you know, so it's just like
if you find yourself having your mama's attitude that you saw growing up in your today's situation, you might want to reflect and take a little bit more time to dig into that, because what worked or what you saw working in a different situation, or what you
may
saw
not even work for you, because because you guys are and I use examples. I don't know any of those type of couples, but because for one, when you are with someone, a lot of the time your spirits are drawn together. You're meant for passing someone's life, and that can be with children, with friends, with but relationship wise, when we're talking about that, you know, whether it's for you to learn a lesson, because it might just be a season and a lesson, and it might be a lifelong thing. And when you're in a lifelong thing, there is going to be like this, and it's going to look all types of crazy and all types of things. So you have to really understand compromise and an apology when going through these different things, because once again, what works for somebody else may not. And also you have to know when you're the teacher and you're the student. And that's in any situation. That's going to be a whole other subject later. But because sometimes what Keisha, we're going to keep using the same analogy, Keisha and Tony and Kim and James have going on at certain times, it may work. And it may be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to try that out and see how that works for me. You know, if it's something definitely positive, and even if it's positive, it might not still work for you guys' spirits, because when you're dealing with individuals, you're dealing with spirits, and every spirit is different.
Yeah.
And then the spirit of a relationship is a whole other spirit in itself. That's your spirits combining. So it might be that it does not even mesh well, or it may be, ooh, that works. Ooh, right on. I'm gonna try that, you know.
Yeah. I think we want to stay constantly renewing and elevating, and I'm pretty sure that compromise is a huge principle in being able to stay in that constant, you know, flow of giving and receiving properly. Yeah.
Being aware of the other person's feelings. If someone is compromising for you, so we're gonna flip side it. If someone is compromising something for you, and it's affecting them, and you see they really know you. First of all, I don't believe in hard no's coming into relationships. And I've heard people
hard no's.
Hard no, like that's a hard no for me. Even that when it is like something completely unhealthy, like that's a hard no. That relationship shouldn't even start. If you already know that up front and you like, that's my hard no, that's my hard no, hell no. But once you're in a relationship, I'm saying simple things. And it's like your mate is asking you to check in, or your mate is asking you a question. And maybe you're someone that does not like that or don't like to check in. Well, that's making the other, and knowing that really, because mentally that can mess with the other person, then that's really that's you abusing the fact that someone else is willing to compromise and you are making them sacrifice. Yeah. And that is not right. Because sometimes you'll have one person in a relationship that is very willing to compromise and is so loving and giving, and everybody, we got to set boundaries on that, whether you're male, female, whichever one you are in a relationship. People will take and take, and you have to really, you know, like, that's what I mean. Like, after you're in this relationship like this, and maybe they started off and that's why sometimes we shouldn't do these things, is start off with something you know you don't like, and act like it's okay, and then out of the blue it's not okay, because now you just gave an element of surprise and this person thinks it's okay. So that's when I say that, like, you have, both parties have to be willing to compromise, not just one, because the person might say, well, I'm a compromise, fine, you don't want to, I'm gonna just use check-in as an example, but you don't want to check in. Well, in a relationship, you don't want him to check in with you, or vice versa. You gonna want the other person to check in with you, but it's not okay for you to. That's never okay, and then that's when you compromise and say, you know what? How bad is it for me to just send a text, send a call, baby, I'm here? Or if they ask a question, you might be a little bit irritated. You know what? My lover is asking this question. I hate to be asked goddamn question, but this is what it takes to move forward. That's when you compromise with yourself, and which will help you compromise in the actual relationship.
Right. And then not only that, if you don't understand why, if let's just say the conversation wasn't had, the person is just like, you don't be checking in with me. I want to check in with you. And you feel like, you may feeling like they're trying to be controlling or overbearing. I think maybe understand, even if you don't understand the general underlining reason at first, I think that's why you should ask questions. You
Right.
know, and then not only that, getting to know that person. That person could have suffered a loss or something like that. And it's a security that you're okay today. You know what I mean? Like that. It could be that for them. It could be they want to make sure you're okay. It could be a multitude of things. So ask questions, especially if you feel yourself having an immediate negative reaction, like trying to control me, or it's just too, you want to, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that becomes a factor too, that plays into compromise, is that the other person thinks the other person is trying to control them, and it's not a control thing. Get root of why they're feeling. It might be that they need that security.
Yeah. Yeah, get into it, like really understand what's going on, ask questions. Have a conversation. And then
Yeah,
get into negotiation. This is where the compromise comes in. I probably can't look, babe. I on Tuesdays though, you know.
yeah. Hey, on Tuesdays it's gonna be a text. It ain't gonna be a call because I'm watching this. If you wanted that,
you know,
yeah,
that's the compromise, the give and take, the ongoing, the flow.
it's an ongoing give and take. It really, really is, and it's like, even in the most tried situations, it's still an ongoing give and take, because relationships are determined by you and no one on the outside. And no matter what that relationship goes through, they're more than likely, if you have two people that is willing to grow and make it and compromise, you can get through a little bit of everything, and some things you can't. But you can kind of maneuver through and continue to grow, because growing is changing.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
I
kind
think celebrating steps when you see yourself coming into more of a compromise, celebrate that. When you see the other person coming into more of a compromise with what you need, celebrate that too. For those of you who are out there dealing with Tauruses, I will say for myself, right? Sometimes I could hear what the person is asking from me, but I want to give this to you so well. Like it'll sound like other things sometimes more than their emotions. It can sound like they're trying to control you. It can sound like they're making you be a particular type of person. You know what I mean? And you'll be like, I just don't that's what I'm hearing, as opposed to what you're really saying to me. I need you to comfort me more, or sometimes I need you to comfort me before you tell me what I did wrong, or things like that. You know what I mean? Like you did, actually being able to hear. And then I know for me, it takes a while for me to work that into my system. My immediate response may not be what is needed in the moment. And I think a higher form of compromise is that after you've expressed yourself and you've given the feelings, don't think that you weren't hurt. Actions always show more than anything anyone can say. So as you see those gradual, because I have some things that I'm working on in a relationship of mine, and I start to see myself gradually come around, because I think about it like, oh, this is what they said, so, and this is what I do, but I start to become more conscious, and it starts to work in to what I'm doing, as opposed to, because sometimes immediate responses are superficial and they don't last. Like, say you respond to a person to give the compromise, but you didn't work it into yourself, right? This is when you start to sacrifice yourself. You didn't work it into yourself or whatever. You just immediately go to do what that person wants you to do, and it's not part of who you are or your lifestyle, so it's not true. Sometimes you can try stuff that's not true, and that's a form of sacrificing who you are. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, because you have to let these things be true. Like it has to be true is what I'm saying, and it has to come from a real place to actually last. You know what I mean? Because it's a change. Some things cost for a real change. And I hope I didn't veer off the topic too much, but I just was thinking about how I was communicating with someone, and they asked a particular thing of me, but it took for them to say it a couple times. It's not that I wasn't listening. It was just that the first time, all I heard was nagging, and I had to go calm down my inner child and being to actually hear it. And then when as the conversation continued, it was like, oh, they're not nagging me. This is what they're actually saying. So in everything, let it be love, be patient, and be compromising.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give y'all some of this Capricorn energy, because it can be that way for a Capricorn at times too. And just me, I have been like, well, I said this, and I want, before I want a response immediately. But realizing that demanding that response or that change immediately is not a compromise, and it is making someone sacrifice, like you said, going into making an ungenuine change and not even allowing the person to process what you said or the feelings. And then it becomes a fight in a relationship. It becomes a problem, because then they're feeling like you are controlling them, or it's very superficial. So the change is not a change for the long term, like you are hoping for. It's only just for the moment, because it was never genuine. It was never really a part of them to actually be able to hear you. And it's one thing if you say something and you're looking for a response. And of course, you don't want to allow something to keep happening all the time to just,
that part.
You may have to the compromise may be that you like, damn it, well, how many times I got to say this shit? That's the compromise in a relationship, because some people think, I say it once and you're supposed to do it. Or I said this, and why didn't you hear me? I've had those struggles.
Yeah, it don't go like that.
Or I'm doing this, why is it so fucking hard for you to do this? Right? And you have to, the compromise is, you got to be willing to compromise.
Yeah. Everything is not instant gratification.
Yeah.
Something.
So in this generation, in this time, not even just the generation, in this time, because I see it in older people too, and in young people too. We want it right now. We want it
instant.
Right now. And I said it, I want it to change. I want to see it change right now. And if you allow a flower doesn't bloom overnight, this plant didn't just get like this overnight. You know, I bought it and it was a little full, and then now my baby growing and got some, you know, I got my other one, it's flowing and growing, and you got to be willing to grow. You're growing. So how do you expect for another person not to take their steps to grow? And that's the compromise. That's a compromise that I think is so important in a relationship, is that because you're growing at a rapid pace doesn't mean the other person is. Now the compromise is, look, I know you're not growing at the speed that I am, but you have to continue to grow for me to continue to compromise and for this to work. And the compromise is understanding that someone is not at that same level as you, and they may not even, a lot of times you and your significant other don't have the same love language. So you guys have to compromise on, ooh, they like this, and this is how they like to be loved on, and intertwine that and bringing that vibration of love and compromising is that you do have to understand each other's love language. And it's a constant thing because love languages can constantly change.
Yeah. Yeah, like get it, if you get into it for the long haul in any relationship, in anything that you handling or touching, forget the instant gratification, put some time in. Like this is the patience and the approach that we want to be having in our relationships. And I think we just kind of made the compromise and apology like the water. Keep watering that plant, keep fertilizing and feeding it. It grows into what it is that you want to see, and and have, or things like that. And just like you growing and changing at the same time, like, yeah, this is compromise and apology gives more fluid in the dance of all relationships. And removing the instant gratification need gives you more patience and allows you to kind of get into the moment, into the movement of it.
With compromise comes discernment. So if I was watering this plant, but the plant didn't care for the water or don't want to be watered, then that's what it's gonna die or it's gonna shrivel. And you got to know when compromising, both have to be willing to have
both sides, yeah.
And not be one or the other, because there is a sacrifice going on at that point. Sometimes it's like, okay, this plan is not working with me, our energy is not working together, I'm gonna have to throw this away, give it away, because it is not growing. And I have the energy of wanting to grow, but this person or this situation is not. And sometimes some people are meant to grow outside of you. And sometimes they are meant to grow with you. And so you really have to discern that too, because I don't want to promote someone pouring and pouring and pouring, and it becomes an abuse situation, or
no, that's not the conversation we have.
Yeah, that's not the conversation. We want to make that very, very clear.
Yeah, we're not promoting. Like you said, sometimes stuff is dead, and you're not supposed to. Because that's another issue too. We probably should discuss. A lot of women don't know when to let go.
Yeah.
And that is when now you on the extreme end of you've come out of compromise into sacrifice. There you go. That's where you really actually sacrifice.
And some women prematurely let go because maybe you've been through some things and you're supposed to go through it too, bro, to continue to water it. And not and then caught up. And that's why that comes again to compromising with yourself. Am I gonna listen to spirit and really look crazy to everybody else, or and really be happy and really maneuver through and be guided? Or am I gonna listen to everybody else and pretend like that's what I wanted to do and be happy and pretend to be happy and really not? And that's why it's a constant conversation with compromising with yourself, because it can go either or way.
Right. Yeah. What do you think? I think we've jogged this good. Find the balance in your
I think we did a great job on it. And our experiences we're giving vibes. And so like we're still work in progress and we're still maneuvering through energy as we come into these healing conversations.
So
Yeah.
we always love to close with the affirmation, to help bring in some of that good energy and of what we just discussed and, what we're working on, right?
Right, and releasing that negative and feeling it by bringing in the good energy. When you release something, you want to fulfill it with something, or you will be constant in circles fulfilling with just different things. That's not going to help you in the long run. So,
right. That's what's up. So we're going to feel it then, right? I guess I'm going to read it, huh? I'm reading it.
Yes, bring that affirmation today, baby. Look, you should be reading it with all that vibration, that rose quartz on today. Let's give them that visual.
I love rose quartz. I do. When you're saying that, one of the things that I really love about it is that I just feel like your complexion, it puts that warmth and love on your complexion when you're wearing it. So it's just like, how if I'm the care bearer with the heart, like I'm just pushing the heart out my chest.
Yes, because it's really just that love glow. That love glow.
We care a lot. I'm sorry, that's how I feel about rose quartz. But okay, so here we go. So this affirmation, and I think this is one of those ones that you just have to breathe in and exhale, as you're saying. It doesn't matter. Like we talked about, on the first episode, we talked about ways to use affirmations,
Right.
And I guess we can get into that some more, but this one is one of those, you got to breathe through this as you are saying it. And, the patience of compromising, you got to take your time with it. Am I right? You over there, right?
I'm excited. You got me over here excited. I'm like, yes.
Right?
Yes, love.
Breathe through this. Like, when I compromise, I am not sacrificing. I am gaining understanding and submitting to love. Okay? It's like breathe through that. And so again, without my dramatics, when I compromise, I am not sacrificing. I am gaining understanding and submitting to love. Take it all in and keep it organic. Right.
Organic.
Organic as fuck.